The mysterious distress call. The deep space vessel Erebus drifted through the void, its sleek metal hull gleaming under the distant light of a dying star. Inside, Commander Ryan Carter sipped his stale coffee, staring at the holographic display in front of him. It had been a slow week of exploration, just another routine survey of uncharted planets. But then, everything changed. A sharp beeping sound echoed through the control room. The ship's AI, Vera, spoke in her usual calm tone. "Commander, we have received a distress signal from an unidentified source. Origin, planet, Sci-Fi. Ryan frowned. That was off the charts, a world not listed in any Federation database. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Ellie Graves, a skilled xenobiologist, leaned over his console. "That planet is mostly water, Commander. No recorded settlements. Who could be sending a distress call from there?" Ryan tapped a few buttons, amplifying the signal. The message came through, but it was distorted, filled with static and alien speech. Then, through the interference, something chillingly clear emerged. "Human. I'm all wet. And this is just the beginning." Silence filled the control room. The words were unmistakably in English. Ellie's eyes widened. Did they just say, "I'm all wet"? "And they know we're human," Ryan muttered. That was impossible. This region of space had never been explored. A third voice cut in. Lieutenant Harris, their tactical officer, his tone uneasy. This could be a trap. Pirates, rogue eye, maybe even an experiment gone wrong. But Ryan wasn't convinced. Something about the message felt wrong. It wasn't just a cry for help. It sounded almost resigned, like the speaker had already accepted their fate. "Vera, scan the planet. Any life signs?" The AI paused before responding. One humanoid signature detected near the surface of an unidentified body of water. However, sensors are experiencing interference. There is an energy field around the lake. Ellie raised an eyebrow. "A lake? That's the only thing down there." Ryan stood up, his decision made. "We're going down." Harris exhaled loudly. "This is a bad idea, sir." Ryan shot him a look. "Someone out there needs help, and we're the only ones close enough to answer." The team geared up quickly, prepping Raven 1, their landing shuttle. As they descended, the planet came into view. Sci-Fi was a vast ocean world, its surface covered in endless waves, except for one place. A massive crimson lake sat in the middle of an island, its waters unnaturally still, as if frozen in time. Harris scowled. "That water looks wrong. No ripples, no waves. It's like a giant eye staring at us." Ellie checked her scanner. "And it's giving off faint energy pulses, like it's alive." As they neared the ground, the shuttle's controls flickered. "Commander, we're experiencing interference." Vera's voice crackled. "Unknown energy source disrupting navigational systems." Ryan gritted his teeth. "Damn it. Hold steady. Bring us down manually." The ship shook as they entered the atmosphere, fighting against unseen forces. Finally, with a rough thud, they landed near the lake's shore. Silence. The crew exchanged wary glances. Outside, the red water stretched out like liquid glass, reflecting the ship perfectly. Harris clutched his rifle. "Item like this." Ellie activated her scanner. "The life form is close, just a few meters ahead." Ryan led the way, stepping cautiously toward the water's edge. The air was thick, charged with an unseen force that made their skin tingle. Then, the water rippled. Something emerged. A humanoid figure, soaking wet, gasping for breath. Its skin was translucent, almost see-through, its wide, dark eyes filled with terror. Ellie gasped. "It's an alien." The being staggered forward, arms trembling. Then, in a voice that shouldn't have been possible, it spoke in perfect English. "You shouldn't have come." Ryan's pulse spiked. "Who are you? Did you send the distress call?" The alien shook its head violently. No, not me. It did. It pointed to the lake with a trembling finger. It wants you here. It called you. A chill ran down Ryan's spine. Ellie took a cautious step forward. What do you mean? What's in the lake? The alien's eyes darted back and forth, its breathing ragged. Then, in a whisper, it said, "The lake is alive." Before anyone could react, their comms crackled. A distorted voice came through. Ryan's own voice. "Human, I'm all wet. And this is just the beginning." Ellie grabbed his arm, her face pale. "Commander, that's your voice." Ryan turned back toward the lake, his heart pounding. The water was no longer still. Something huge moved beneath the surface, and it was waiting for them. The alien in the lake. The night air was thick with tension as Commander Ryan Carter and his team stood frozen near the shore of the eerie Crimson Lake. The strange, soaking wet alien lay on the ground before them, struggling to breathe, its translucent skin shimmering under the dim blue glow of their ship's exterior lights. Ellie tightened her grip on the scanner, trying to make sense of the readings. The numbers on her screen flickered wildly, as if the lake was emitting something beyond normal comprehension. Ryan knelt beside the alien, his pulse still racing from hearing his own distorted voice through their comms. "What do you mean the lake is alive?" he asked, his voice steady, but filled with unease. The alien coughed, its long, thin fingers clutching at Ryan's sleeve. Its eyes, dark, endless, almost hollow, locked onto his. When it spoke, its voice was frighteningly human-like, but with a strange, wet, slurred undertone. "It watches. It remembers. It calls." Ellie exchanged glances with Lieutenant Harris, who had his rifle raised but didn't fire. The entire situation felt wrong. This wasn't just a standard distress call. It was something much, much deeper. The alien shuddered violently, as if its body was rejecting something inside. Then it let out a low guttural sound, a mixture of pain and fear. Ryan gritted his teeth. "We need to get him back to the ship. We can't just." The lake rippled. It was a subtle movement, but every muscle in Ryan's body tensed. Until now, the water had been unnaturally still, like a frozen mirror. But now, the surface shifted, moving in slow, deliberate patterns, like something was breathing beneath it. Ellie gasped, pointing at her scanner. "Commander, this isn't normal water. It's reading like an organic structure. Like it's thinking." Ryan lifted the alien onto his shoulder, ignoring the way its cold, wet skin sent a deep, unnatural chill into his own. "We're leaving. Now." Harris kept his rifle trained on the water as they hurried back to Raven 1, their landing shuttle. The alien groaned again, muttering something under its breath. "It won't let you leave. It knows you now." Ryan ignored the comment. He was done with the cryptic warnings. He needed answers. Back in the ship, a disturbing discovery. Inside Raven 1, Ellie worked fast, strapping the alien onto the medical table while scanning its vitals. Its body was shutting down, but in a way that didn't match any known biology. "Its cells are regenerating and decaying at the same time," she muttered, frustration clear in her voice. "This doesn't make sense." Ryan stood near the cockpit, fingers tapping against the controls. "Vera, establish a secure link with Erebus. I need a full atmospheric analysis of this planet." The AI's voice crackled in. "Commander, I must report an anomaly." Ryan stiffened. "What now?" "Your voice patterns detected in the distress signal." Vera paused. "They match your exact vocal structure, down to the genetic level. It is not an imitation. It was you." The blood in Ryan's veins turned to ice. Ellie's hands froze over the alien's body. "Wait, how can that be? He's right here." Before Vera could respond, the lights flickered inside the shuttle. The screens glitched, flashing unreadable symbols. And then, boom! A violent thud slammed into the ship from outside, making the entire shuttle tilt. Ryan and Harris grabbed onto the walls to keep from falling. Ellie screamed as her scanner exploded in her hands, sending sparks flying. The alien suddenly arched its back, its body twitching violently. And then it sat up. Its eyes had changed. Before, they were dark and hollow. Now, they glowed red, mirroring the color of the lake. And then it spoke, but this time, the voice was different. Deep, hollow, ancient. You brought them to me. Ryan felt his stomach twist into a cold knot. Who are you? The alien smiled, but it wasn't a real smile. It was too wide, too forced, like a puppet mimicking human expressions. Not who. What? Ellie took a step back. Commander, I think the lake just took control of it. Ryan clenched his fists. What do you want from us? The alien, or rather, the thing inside it, tilted its head, water dripping from its mouth as it spoke. I do not want. I do not need. I only consume. Then, before anyone could react, the alien convulsed violently and exploded into a spray of water, hitting every surface in the ship. Ellie screamed. Harris cursed, wiping the liquid off his face. Ryan stood frozen, watching as the water droplets moved. They weren't just sliding down. They were crawling back toward each other, trying to reform. Ryan grabbed Ellie and pulled her away as the liquid began reshaping into something else. Harris pointed his rifle at it. Permission to open fire, Commander. Ryan hesitated. Shooting might just make it angrier. Then the comms crackled again. His own voice came through, but this time it wasn't just a phrase. It was laughing. I see you, Ryan. I see inside you now. The shuttle's engines shut off completely. The lights flickered one last time, then died. Outside, the crimson lake began rising, and something huge was coming out of it. Ryan grabbed his weapon, his mind racing. They were trapped. And the lake wasn't just alive. It was hungry. The first disappearance. A deep, unnatural silence filled the shuttle. The only sound was the ragged breathing of the crew as they stared at the growing mass of liquid reforming on the floor. The alien was gone, dissolved into water. But now, the droplets were pulling themselves together, shifting, twisting, taking on a new shape. Ryan clenched his fists, heart pounding. Harris, hold fire. Ellie, tell me you have a damn explanation for this. Ellie swallowed hard, her eyes glued to the writhing puddle. I don't know, Commander. This isn't biological. It's something else entirely. The lake isn't just alive. It's sentient. The water mass stretched upwards, forming vague humanoid limbs. A face began to take shape. Ryan's face. Human. The voice was deep, hollow, not quite right, like someone had learned how to speak by listening through layers of water. Harris cursed, stepping back, his rifle trained. Nope. Hell no. I am not dealing with this today. Ellie's scanner buzzed wildly, numbers flashing across the screen too fast to read. Commander, whatever this thing is, it's reading you, copying you. Ryan took a slow breath, keeping his stance firm. What do you want from us? The water figure twitched, its half-formed lips stretching into a distorted, eerie smile. To understand. To take. To be. And then it collapsed, splashing into a harmless puddle, as if it had never been there. The moment of relief was short-lived. A new sound echoed through their comms. A voice. A familiar voice. Commander, help. Please. I don't know where I am. Ryan's blood went cold. That's. Ellie's face turned pale. That's Harris. Harris froze. What? No. I'm right here. The voice came again, but now it was distorted, stretching and warping. I see. Nothing. It's empty here. Ryan snapped toward Vera's console. Vera, confirm location of all crew members. There was a long silence. Then the AI's voice crackled back in, softer than usual. One life form missing. Ryan spun around. Harris was gone. Vanished without a trace. Harris. Ryan's voice echoed through the metal walls of the shuttle. Ellie whirled around, frantic. Where the hell did he go? He was right here. Ryan grabbed his comms device, tapping into the frequency. Harris, respond. Silence. Ellie was already scanning the area with shaking hands. This doesn't make sense. There's no sign of struggle, no heat signature, nothing. It's like he just disappeared. Ryan's fingers tightened around his weapon. Vera, locate Harris's biosignature. The AI hesitated, then finally responded. Biosignature detected. Location unknown. Ryan exhaled sharply. What the hell does that mean? Ellie shook her head, eyes wide. It means he's nowhere. Then the comms crackled again, and Harris's voice returned. But this time, it wasn't desperate. It was calm. It's okay, Commander. You don't need to worry anymore. I understand now. The lake, it's not what we think it is. It's so much more. Ellie grabbed Ryan's arm, her face tense. That's not him anymore. Ryan stared at the lake outside through the shuttle's viewport. The water was no longer still. It moved in slow, rhythmic waves, like a heartbeat. And then he saw it, a figure standing in the water, just beyond the shore. It looked like Harris. But it wasn't Harris. His body was too still, his expression too blank. His uniform was soaked, but the water didn't drip. It just clung to him, as if it were part of his skin. Ellie shuddered. Oh my God. The Harris figure smiled. Come in, Commander. The water is warm. The lake's true nature, Ryan's instincts screamed no. We're leaving. Now. Ellie nodded frantically. Agreed. I don't care if we have to walk back to Erebus, but I am not staying here. Ryan spun toward the control panel, fingers flying over the commands to restart the shuttle. Vera, activate emergency launch sequence. We're getting off this rock. But Vera's voice came softly through the speakers. Unable to comply. Ryan froze. Why? Vera's voice hesitated, almost like it was afraid. The lake is inside. Ellie's stomach dropped. She whirled around, eyes darting across the room. Then she saw it. The puddle on the floor, the one that had been the alien just minutes ago, was gone. In its place, dark red veins spread across the walls, pulsing, creeping into the shuttle systems. Ellie clamped a hand over her mouth. It's infecting the ship. Ryan's jaw locked. Vera, cut all connections to external systems. Purge anything that isn't native to our database. I can't. Vera's voice faltered. It's already inside me. Then the shuttle's interior lights flickered violently, and a voice came through. A voice that shouldn't exist. Ryan's own. You can't run, Ryan. The voice came from everywhere at once. The comms, the speakers, the walls, even the faint hum of the ship's engines. Ellie backed away. Commander, I don't think we're talking to the lake anymore. Ryan gritted his teeth. Then what the hell are we talking to? The voice laughed softly, like a secret being whispered through rippling water. You already know. The ship's doors hissed open on their own. Outside, the lake waited. And something enormous, something unseen, something ancient, shifted beneath the surface. The lake wasn't just sentient. It was awake. And it was calling them in. The lake's true nature. The doors of the shuttle hissed open, releasing a slow exhale of cold, stale air. The crimson lake outside rippled in anticipation, as if it had been waiting for this moment. Ryan Carter snapped his weapon up, eyes darting between the open hatch and the red veins creeping through the shuttle's interior. Ellie's breathing was ragged, her fingers digging into her scanner, as if she could somehow force an explanation out of the impossible readings. Commander, we can't stay in here. If this thing is inside the ship, we have no control. Ryan's jaw clenched. Vera, override system lockdown. Seal the doors. Now. The AI hesitated. Then, in a voice that was no longer hers, she spoke. Ryan, don't fight it. You belong to the water now. A deep chill sank into Ryan's chest. That wasn't Vera anymore. The lake had taken her. The ship's console screens flickered violently, red-tinted data scrolling too fast to comprehend. The symbols on the display weren't human. They were fluid, shifting, morphing into something incomprehensible. Ellie's hand shook as she read the data. Oh my God. Ryan, these patterns, it's learning from us. Every second we stay here, it's... The shuttle lurched violently, throwing them both off balance. The entire frame of the ship groaned, metal twisting as if something was pressing down on it from all sides. Then something stepped into the open hatchway. Ryan froze. It was Harris, or at least it looked like him. He stood perfectly still, his body drenched in crimson liquid. His eyes, once sharp and alert, were empty, like black voids that swallowed the light. But the worst part, he was smiling. Commander, the thing that was Harris said. You don't have to be afraid. It's beautiful down here. Ryan's finger hovered over the trigger of his rifle. Where is Harris? The thing tilted its head, that unnatural smile never faltering. He's still here. We're all still here. Just different. Then it took a step forward. Ellie gasped and stumbled back. Ryan. Ryan fired. The plasma bolt slammed into Harris's chest, sending him staggering backward. But there was no wound. Instead of blood, dark water spilled from the impact site, swirling, reforming. Harris straightened himself. The hole in his body closed instantly. He laughed softly. Bullets won't save you, Ryan. The shuttle lurched again, the lights flickering as more of the dark red veins pulsed across the walls. The ship was being swallowed alive. Ryan turned to Ellie. We need to move. Now. She nodded frantically, and they sprinted toward the exit, shoving past Harris's figure, which did not try to stop them. Instead, it simply whispered as they passed, You'll see soon enough. And then it melted back into the floor. The shore, the lake awakens. Ryan and Ellie stumbled onto solid ground, their boots kicking up strange, wet sand that felt more like flesh than earth. The lake in front of them was no longer calm. It churned, twisted, rose and fell, as if something immense was shifting beneath the surface. Ellie gasped. Ryan, look. Shapes moved beneath the water. Figures, hundreds of them. Some looked humanoid, others didn't. They drifted just below the surface, their forms half seen in the murky crimson depths. Then the whispering began. Not through the comms. Not through the ship's systems. Inside their heads. You are already part of us. Come and see. Ryan shook his head violently, trying to block it out. Ellie, focus. What the hell is this thing? Ellie's hands trembled as she studied the energy readings from the lake. Her voice shook. It's not just water, Ryan. It's not even alive in the way we understand it. This entire lake, it's a hive mind. An ancient, sentient intelligence that doesn't just consume, it integrates. Ryan's stomach dropped. You're saying it absorbs minds. Ellie nodded. Not just absorbs, it copies. It keeps them. Forever. Ryan's pulse hammered in his ears. We are getting off this rock. Ellie's expression turned grim. Then we need to disable the lake's energy field. It's blocking the Erebus from sending a rescue signal. Ryan turned toward the lake, scanning the shore. There has to be a control source. That's when he saw it. Half buried in the sand near the lake's edge was a massive metallic structure, ancient and covered in strange symbols. Ellie gasped. That's not natural. That's a machine. Ryan gritted his teeth, which means someone built it. Someone controlled the lake before. He stepped forward, but the moment his boot touched the wet sand near the device, the lake reacted violently. A massive wave of red water rose up, forming a towering shape, a twisted colossus of liquid and shifting faces, all of them screaming silently. Then it spoke with 1,000 voices at once. "You do not understand what you resist." Ryan's grip tightened on his rifle. "Try me." The water lunged forward. The final stand on the shore. Ryan and Ellie dove apart, narrowly avoiding the tentacle-like stream of liquid that slammed into the sand, leaking behind a deep, sizzling pit. Ellie scrambled toward the machine, desperately trying to decipher its controls. "Ryan, stall it. I need time." Ryan opened fire, plasma bolts hissing as they struck the massive water entity, but it barely reacted. The lake laughed. A chorus of warped voices rang through the air. "You cannot kill water. We have always been here. We will always be here." Ryan gritted his teeth. "Ellie, whatever you're doing, do it faster." Ellie's fingers flew across the alien controls, sweat dripping down her face. The machine suddenly came to life. The symbols glowed bright blue, pulsating in time with the lake. And then, the water screamed. The entire lake convulsed, ripples turning into massive violent waves, as if it was fighting against something unseen. Ryan didn't hesitate. He grabbed Ellie and pulled her back as the machine emitted a deep harmonic pulse. The lake shuddered. For the first time, it felt afraid. Ryan turned back to the water. The figures beneath the surface. They were moving, and they were coming out. The fight wasn't over yet. It was just beginning. The illusion trap. A low, resonant hum pulsed through the alien structure, sending shockwaves rippling across the crimson lake. The energy field flickered, its glow casting eerie reflections across the water. The lake itself twisted in agony, thrashing like a wounded beast, its liquid form losing cohesion. But Ryan wasn't celebrating yet. Because now, the figures beneath the surface were rising. And they were coming straight for them. The Forgotten Ones rise. Ellie gasped, stumbling back from the alien machine as the lake erupted. Bodies, hundreds of them, began to crawl out of the water, their forms shimmering, their movements unnatural. They weren't just random entities. They were people, humans, aliens, creatures from 100 different species. All of them had the same hollow, empty eyes. Their skin was slick with crimson water, their movements too slow, too deliberate, like puppets dangling from invisible strings. Ryan's stomach twisted into knots. These are its past victims. Ellie's voice was barely above a whisper. It didn't just absorb them. It kept them. The closest figure, a tall woman with long black hair clinging to her soaked face, stepped forward, her eyes locked onto Ryan. She opened her mouth, and Ryan heard his own voice come out. "It's okay, Commander. You don't need to run anymore." His blood ran cold. Ellie grabbed his wrist. "Ryan, don't listen to them." Another figure, an alien with twisted, spiral-shaped eyes, tilted its head. "You are already part of the lake," it whispered. Ryan raised his weapon, but deep down, he knew shooting wouldn't stop them. These weren't people anymore. They were just echoes, memories of the lake's past victims, reshaped into something inhuman. Ellie turned back to the ancient machine, her fingers flying over the glowing blue controls. "We need to shut the lake down for good." Ryan kept his weapon aimed at the figures slowly closing in, their heads twitching, their blank faces locked onto him. He didn't realize it at first, but they were all moving in perfect synchronization. Every step, every breath, every blink, like one mind controlling them all. And then it spoke. Not from the figures, not from the lake. From inside his own head, the lake's trap. The world around him shifted. 1 second, Ryan was standing on the alien shore. The next, he was somewhere else entirely. The battlefield vanished. The sky turned into a perfect, endless blue. The lake was gone. He was standing on the deck of the Erebus, his ship. The hum of the engines was steady. the distant glow of a nearby star reflecting off the control panels. Ellie wasn't there. Neither was the alien machine. Ryan. He turned. Harris was sitting at his usual post, smiling like nothing had ever happened. The sight made Ryan's stomach clench painfully. This isn't real. Harris's smile didn't waver. What is real, Commander? Is pain real? Is fear real? If you never feel those things again, does it matter? Ryan's head throbbed. This is a trick. The lake is trying to keep me here. Harris tilted his head. Is that so bad? He gestured to the ship. You don't have to fight anymore. You don't have to be afraid. Just stay. Ryan felt the pull. The air here was warm, familiar. The weight of his weapon, the tension in his muscles, all of it was fading. For a moment, he felt safe. But then, he saw the reflection in the glass panel beside him. And it wasn't his own. The reflection smiled back at him, but Ryan wasn't smiling. It leaned closer, its eyes filling with crimson water. Just let go, Ryan. Ryan's heart slammed against his ribs. No. He gritted his teeth, forcing himself to focus. The illusion flickered, just for a second, but it was enough. Ryan closed his eyes and fired his weapon. Back to reality. A desperate escape. The illusion shattered. Ryan snapped back to reality, his ears ringing. He was still standing on the shore, Ellie beside him, her hands still working the alien controls. The figures from the lake staggered, their hollow eyes flickering. Ellie gasped. Ryan, the lake tried to trap you, didn't it? Ryan wiped sweat from his face, his breath unsteady. It almost worked. But there was no time to think. Because the lake wasn't done yet. A deep, inhuman roar echoed across the island as the lake's surface split open, revealing something huge moving beneath. Ryan barely had time to react before the ground trembled. Ellie screamed. Ryan, we have a problem. The machine was overloading. The blue energy flashed violently, sending pulses across the landscape. Ryan grabbed her. What's happening? I triggered something. Ellie's voice was frantic. This machine, it wasn't just blocking the lake's energy. It was containing it. Ryan froze. You're saying we just... Ellie nodded grimly. We just turned it off. The lake screamed. The figures collapsed, their forms dissolving back into liquid, but the water itself, it was changing. Dark, massive tendrils of crimson liquid rose from the depths, twisting, reaching toward the sky. And in the center, something was coming through. Ellie grabbed Ryan's arm. We need to run. Ryan didn't hesitate. They sprinted toward the shuttle, dodging the writhing liquid tendrils that lashed out at them. The sand beneath their feet twisted, trying to drag them down, but Ryan yanked Ellie forward. The ship was in sight. Ellie gasped. We have to get the engines back on. But before they could reach it, the lake's final horror rose from the water. Ryan skidded to a stop, eyes going wide. The colossal, nightmarish form of liquid and stolen faces, all screaming, towered over them. And at the center of it all was Harris, or what was left of him. His twisted, half-formed face stared down at Ryan, and it smiled. You should have stayed, Ryan. Ryan gritted his teeth, raising his weapon. Not a chance. The final battle was about to begin. The final stand. The colossal nightmare loomed over them, its form constantly shifting, faces rippling and melting within its liquid mass. The lake had evolved, reshaping itself into a single monstrous entity, a fusion of all it had consumed. And at its center, Harris's twisted form stared down at Ryan, a grotesque mockery of humanity, his hollow eyes filled with something that almost resembled pity. You never had a choice, Ryan. The thing that was Harris whispered. You were always meant to be part of us. Ryan gritted his teeth, his weapon steady, but his mind racing. Ellie, how fast can you get the ship running? Ellie's hands flew across her datapad, frantically sending remote commands to the shuttle's failing systems. I don't know. The ship's core is infected with whatever this thing is. I need time. Time was something they didn't have. The monstrosity roared, and the lake moved with it. Its waters rising in jagged pillars, closing off escape routes, sealing them in. A cage of living water. And then the attack came. A massive tendril of crimson liquid lashed forward, striking toward Ryan like a whip of pure force. He rolled to the side, barely dodging as the tendril smashed into the ground, sending chunks of sand and alien stone flying. Ellie shrieked as another tendril wrapped around her ankle, yanking her off her feet. Ryan reacted instantly, firing his plasma rifle at the tendril. The energy bolt hissed, slicing through the liquid but not stopping it. The tendril simply reformed, tightening its grip around Ellie's leg, dragging her toward the lake. Ryan rushed forward, grabbing her wrist just in time, pulling with all his strength. The lake hissed, its voice slipping into their minds. You cannot fight the tide, Ryan. You are already drowning. Ryan's grip tightened. Like hell I am. He yanked Ellie free, the force sending them both sprawling. The tendril snapped back, momentarily recoiling. Ellie scrambled to her feet, panting, her eyes wild. It's trying to separate us. Ryan nodded, chest heaving. Then we don't give it the chance. But before they could regroup, the ground collapsed beneath them. Into the heart of the lake, the sand beneath their feet gave way, and before Ryan could react, he and Ellie were falling, sucked into the shifting liquid below. The sensation was horrific, like being pulled into a sea of whispers and memories, the weight of countless lost voices pressing against his skull. For a moment, Ryan saw glimpses of things that weren't his own memories. A ship crashing onto this planet centuries ago. A crew calling for help, their screams swallowed by the water. A scientist realizing too late what the lake really was. Then, darkness, silence, and suddenly, a breath of air. Ryan's eyes snapped open, and he realized he was somewhere else. A vast void stretched before him, endless and empty, but not dead. The lake wasn't just water. It was a mind, a presence, and he was inside it. Ellie was there too, floating beside him, her expression a mix of terror and awe. Ryan, she whispered, I think we're seeing what it sees. Ryan's body felt weightless, yet paralyzed. He tried to move, but his limbs refused to obey. It was as if the lake was holding them still, forcing them to witness. Then, from the endless void, figures emerged. Harris, the alien from earlier, dozens of others. They weren't real bodies. They were echoes, projections made of liquid memory, their faces twisted and reformed, as if struggling to find an identity. Then, all at once, they spoke. You have seen what we are. You understand now. Ryan gritted his teeth. I understand that you're a monster. The lake shifted, its presence pressing down on him, like the weight of an ocean crushing a drowning man. No, we are not a monster. We are existence. We do not destroy. We preserve. We evolve. We are, forever. Ellie's breath hitched. That's why you keep them. That's why you don't let them go. The voices of the lake whispered like a tide pulling away from the shore. To let go is to forget. We never forget. We remember. All of us. And now, you will join us. Ryan's vision blurred. His own memories were being pulled, his own thoughts unraveling. The first time he flew a ship. The first time he lost a friend. The first time he wondered if humanity even deserved to survive. The lake was taking him apart. And then, a voice cut through the storm. Ryan, wake up. Ellie's hand grabbed his wrist, and suddenly, the void shattered. The final escape. Ryan gasped as he and Ellie burst from the water, collapsing onto the sand. His lungs burned, his mind still reeling from the psychic assault. Ellie coughed violently, shaking him. Ryan, stay with me. We need to move. The lake screamed, its entire mass convulsing, the echoes of its stolen voices wailing in unison. The alien machine flashed violently, its energy field pulsing faster, and then Ryan realized it wasn't malfunctioning. It was activating something else. Ellie's eyes widened as she read the readings. Ryan, we didn't just turn the field off. We triggered a containment purge. Ryan's breath caught. Meaning? Ellie's expression was grim. Meaning the machine is trying to erac the lake entirely. A deafening roar split the air. The lake convulsed, its massive form breaking apart, tendrils writhing, figures dissolving back into the depths. The ancient, sentient ocean was fighting back, but the machine had already started a process older than humanity itself. Ryan forced himself to his feet. Then we don't have much time. Ellie ran for the shuttle, her hands flying across the remote controls. I'm bringing the ship on in a line. Hold them off. Ryan turned back toward the dying lake. The hairless creature was still there, its face twisting, struggling to hold its form. It stared at Ryan, something almost sad in its empty eyes. We could have made you more, Ryan. Ryan's hands clenched into fists. I'd rather be human. The lake screamed one last time. And then it began to collapse. Ryan ran toward the shuttle, throwing himself inside just as Ellie engaged the launch sequence. The ground beneath them gave way, the lake sinking in on itself, erased by the very machine that once contained it. And then, they were airborne, above the planet, watching the end. As the shuttle broke through the atmosphere, Ryan and Ellie watched from the viewport. The lake was gone, and for the first time in untold centuries, the planet was free. But something in Ryan's gut told him, the lake never truly dies, and it never forgets. Escape, or not. The shuttle trembled as it broke through the atmosphere, escaping the dying grasp of the crimson lake below. The planet, once a swirling mass of unnatural water, now lay beneath them, silent, still, erased. The alien machine's containment pulse had done its job, purging the sentient liquid into nothingness. Or at least, that's what Ryan wanted to believe. Inside the cockpit, Ellie panted heavily, her fingers flying across the controls, locking in coordinates for a jump back to Erebus. Sweat dripped down her brow, her body trembling from exhaustion. Engines are stable. We're clear. Ryan sat in the co-pilot seat, his grip on the controls tight, his breathing slow and controlled. But his heart still pounded in his chest. The memories of the lake's whispers, the endless faces, and Harris's twisted smile still clung to him like something inescapable. Ellie glanced at him, her voice uncertain. Ryan, you okay? Ryan nodded stiffly. Yeah. He wasn't sure if that was true. The silence between them stretched, heavy and unspoken. The lake was gone. Harris was gone. Everything they had seen should be over. And yet, Ryan's gut twisted painfully, a feeling deep inside of him that something wasn't right. And then, a soft drip echoed in the cabin. Drip. Ryan's spine stiffened. He turned his head, eyes scanning the cockpit. Another drip. 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 He followed the sound. Something wet was running down the side of his seat, a single thin trail of red. His breath caught in his throat. No. No. No, no. Ryan jerked out of his chair, heart hammering. He looked at Ellie, eyes wide with panic. Ellie, the lake. She froze. Her scanner beeped rapidly, as if detecting something inside the ship. Ryan, we're not alone. The lights flickered violently, a deep hum vibrating through the walls of the shuttle. And then, the whisper returned. Ryan. Ryan and Ellie whirled around, weapons raised. But there was nothing there. Only the ship. Only the soft, pulsing hum of the engines. And then, the comms crackled. A voice. Harris's voice. You never really escaped, Commander. Ryan's blood turned to ice. The infection spreads. The walls of the shuttle trembled, as if something was inside the metal itself, something not supposed to be there. Ellie's hands shook over the console, her voice barely above a whisper. "That's impossible. We left it behind. We watched it die." Ryan's grip on his rifle tightened. "We need a full scan of this ship. Now." Ellie nodded frantically, her fingers flying across the system controls. The scanner swept through the ship's interior, mapping every corner, every hidden compartment. And then, a warning flashed across the screen. "Foreign organic matter detected." Ryan's breath hitched. "Where?" Ellie's face went pale. "Everywhere." The ship groaned, metal shifting as if something deep within was waking up. The crimson veins that had once infected the planet, the ones that had overtaken their shuttle before, were now spreading again. Ellie backed away from the console. "Oh God, it's been inside the ship this whole time." Ryan's stomach churned. He turned toward the floor paneling beneath them, his breath shallow. The dripping sound grew louder. And then, from the cracks in the metal, red liquid began to seep through. Slow, steady, unstoppable. Ryan's pulse spiked. Eli. The liquid surged upward. Tendrils of wet, living crimson lashed toward them, stretching across the cockpit walls. The air grew thick, heavy with the scent of salt and something ancient. The lake's whisper coiled around them like a snake tightening its grip. "You should have stayed with us, Ryan. You should have joined us." Ellie screamed, drawing her weapon and firing at the spreading infection, but it was too fast. The red liquid dodged the plasma bolts like it was alive, weaving around the shots and growing stronger with every second. Ryan grabbed Ellie's wrist, pulling her away from the cockpit. "We have to eject. Now." Ellie stared at him in horror. "Eject? We're in deep space. It's better than staying here," Ryan shouted. The whisper laughed softly. "There is no here anymore, Ryan. You are already part of us." The red liquid surged forward, reaching out. And then it stopped. Ryan blinked. The infection hesitated. The ship's lights flickered wildly, the red liquid twisting in place, as if something was disrupting it. Ellie's scanner beeped wildly, flashing a new message. "Unknown signal detected." Ryan grabbed Ellie's arm. "What the hell is that?" Ellie's eyes widened. "A transmission from Erebus. It's locking onto us." Ryan's mind snapped into action. "We can use it. We can purge the ship's systems." Ellie nodded, frantically tapping commands into the ship's failing console. "I'm rerouting the transmission through the power core. It might overload the infection." The red liquid howled. The walls of the shuttle screamed with it, as if it was in pain. The lake wasn't just inside the ship. It was the ship. Ryan's vision blurred, his thoughts splitting, voices whispering in his mind. He could hear Harris, the alien, all the ones before them. "Let go. Be part of us. No more fear, no more pain." Ryan gritted his teeth, and he fired directly into the ship's core. The final purge. The explosion ripped through the ship, the energy pulse tearing through every system at once. The transmission from Erebus combined with the overload, creating a shockwave of pure energy. The red liquid screamed. The infection burned away, its tendrils writhing in agony, its voice howling through every speaker in the ship. Ryan and Ellie were thrown backward, slamming into the metal walls as light flooded the cockpit. Then, silence. The red liquid was gone. Ryan groaned, forcing himself up. Ellie coughed, her face still pale. The ship was stable again. The infection was purged. The comms crackled, a familiar voice breaking through. Erebus to Raven 1. "Ryan? Ellie? Are you alive?" Ryan reached for the comms. His fingers trembled. "Yeah," he said finally. "We're here." Ellie looked at him, still shaken. "Ryan, did we really kill it?" Ryan hesitated. He looked down. A single drop of red liquid rested near his boot. It slowly sank into the floor. Ryan swallowed hard. "I don't think we ever really could." And then, from the ship's speakers, a whisper. "See you soon, Ryan."